I'm going to give you all a moment to come come into the chat, come into the stream. Greetings. This is Erica Clark Wise, the Renaissance. I wasn't expecting to go live at this moment, but it's my sacred duty to keep the people informed. And from my last few days of terror and torture, I was able to come to some conclusions about my experience in Savannah, Georgia. So come in, an unexpected live. It won't be long because I don't know how long I'll be here in the privacy of my own domain before others join the vicinity that I'm in, and cut my live stream short. So this is Erica Clark Wise, the Renaissance. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give it about 45 more seconds, and then I'll begin. Thank you for being here. Again, this is Erica Clark Wise, the Renaissance, and I had some insightful revelations when I was locked away in the Mexican jail for the past 3 days and was released yesterday, illegally detained. And I don't want to get into the specifics of that story yet, but it will be a interesting story when I do share it. Currently, I want to revisit my torture and terror in Savannah, Georgia. The day that you saw the video where I was on the bus and I was illegally removed by the bus driver and the so-called police assisted me, the assisting police officer was named Buck. That was what she shared with me, and I specifically asked her if she was a simulation police officer or the real police officer, and she indicated the real police. But what you all do not know is after I got into her vehicle, she dropped me off at a place in Savannah, Georgia, labeled as the slave quarters. It is a remodel project that Savannah, Georgia is doing to create some type of historical memorial to that event in history, which I think is utterly disrespectful, but some people don't understand the fullness of what they do. But that location was nowhere near where I asked to go with the breakfast program, Emmaus. So she dropped me off in the middle of the night, really, because it was dark. It was 6 a.m., but it was dark. I was asked I asked her to document accurately everything I shared with her inside the police car so that can be recalled, because everything inside of a police vehicle should be recorded, or at least the police camera on the suit of the police officer. And I specifically asked her if her camera was on. And so I don't know what the report was. I have a report number I'll look up and give later at the appropriate time. But I want to indicate that she dropped me off in a dark area that was nowhere near the breakfast program. I explained that to her, and I was not brought to another location. I had to walk several blocks with two suitcases pulling behind me in the dark, lost. Everyone I asked for assistance was very rude. And this has a lot to do with the people who were implanted with the chip and are prompted to behave as such. During the ride, there was an indication that that same name of the same woman who has been indicated as my stalker and her code name being Avril Lavigne was speaking through the officer Buck and changing her determination of her location in which she was going to drop me off. This was indicated through her chip or some simulation that was on the police vehicle. I don't have all the technological understanding, but this is what happened in real time. And so, after getting out of the vehicle in a lost state, not due to any mental lack of clarity on my behalf, but the intention, according to the simulation, was to emulate that I had disorientation, which I did not. I was dropped off at the wrong location. To add fuel to flame, when I arrived at the breakfast program, the person who is in charge of the breakfast program, Jarvis, kicked me out for no reason impermanently. Permanently kicked me out of the breakfast program. And there was nothing that I've done. No, nothing that I've done. It was simply anger and retaliation against me for the video that I did on the bus because it appears that Jarvis is tied into the Debo conglomerate, which I later found out Debo may in fact stand for drug boys. This is the intel that was shared for me. I am not certain. But there has been one particular light skinned gentleman with long um, locks in his hair who has been following and prompting bus drivers while I was on the bus. It's been very obvious. So he has been indicated, quote unquote, as Debo, but further intel shared further information about it being a code word for drug boys. I am not certain this was shared by the intel. Further, Officer Buck needs to be assessed for whether or not she is a true officer and whether or not she was prompted in that morning to drop me off in an isolated, desolate area in the Savannah area labeled as the slave quarters. When I finally found my way to the breakfast program, I was harassed and mistreated. I was not allowed to come in and get coffee, and then I was kicked out for no reason whatsoever. It could have been a prompt. I'm not sure if Jarvis was prompted, but I'm sure he has the chip. He has tried to speak to me on the chip, but I have shared with him that I do not speak on the chip. And so all these things happened. It put me in a terrible predicament, whereas I was unable to eat. I was already suffering from not being able to access any money due to being stolen from in South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina. So I was dependent on the shelter program and the breakfast and the evening feeding programs to survive. And everyone knew that because those of us who are connected on the chip and the police and the various government officials who surveil us are aware of the dire straits I was in, and their hope was to make me go mad, act out, so they could some way hospitalize me. And wait till I tell you about Mexico. Stay tuned for that. But I don't want to be too long because I don't know how much longer I'll be alone before someone interrupts the podcast. And I don't want that to happen. So I want you all to see a pattern of trailed surveillance illegally and attack on me as a brilliant indigenous lesbian. It's been ongoing because they're trying to cover up the activities in Utuado, Puerto Rico. Go back to the actual courts, go back to the actual hospital, mental health hospital in Utuado, look at the tapes and see how they tortured and terrorized me in both places. In Utuado Police Department, they almost threw me over the banister. Go back and check the tapes and see how officers are prompted throughout the global atmosphere of police brutality. It's a global issue, as I see now from my experience in Mexico. This is Erica Clark Wise, The Renaissance, and I'll be back with an update at later times. But I want you to realize that what happened on bus 1844 in Savannah, Georgia, was not a mere isolated incident. This is an ongoing problem in places like Savannah, Georgia, where police force play with people's minds and utilize hate groups like Aryan Nation to bring down brilliant indigenous people in hopes of stealing our intellectual property and reasserting that knowledge into Caucasians to promote some type of world dominance. This is real time activity in 2025. Today is September 22nd, 2025. I'm in Mexico and still under attack. I need NATO to intervene. We have outgrown the desire to contact Trump and Patel. We are now looking at bringing charges upon Mexico with the International Criminal Court if the President of Mexico does not intervene and provide me with pain and suffering settlement for the misstep of his officers. This is Erica Clark Wise, The Renaissance, and thank you so much for listening.